Hello guys, Ashley here, also known as HB Fan, and today I have a video. It's late, it is 9:37, but honestly this video rant could not wait. I have a Gossip Girl rant. Again, for those who don't remember, I did make Gossip Girl rants, and as soon as I thought I was done making some, a whole bunch of other rants came to me. So now they're on the back burner because, like I said, I'm trying to not go backwards, I'm trying to go forward. And since I am binging Pretty Liars right now because I can't watch Dexter because my Paramount Plus account is acting weird, but I definitely need to finish Dexter because I'm only on season 3. The more that I don't watch it, I'm gonna just lose interest in it. But I really love the first 2 seasons, so it's like I'm really hooked. But anyway, Gossip Girl. For those who remember, I did make Rant to Gossip Girl. But I'm trying to finish this, you guys, finish the rant. Like I said, this weekend I'm probably going to try to get out my season 3 review, and then do season 4 or 5. And then I'll worry about, I hate to say worry about rants later, because there's just so much going on. Like you guys, like I said, we are moving, and we have to be out of here by the end of the month. So there's just a lot of other things going on. Like I said, once I get situated and things are settled down, I will finish up those rants. But for now, if a rant comes to me, I just will make a video about it. So today, I actually do have a rant, and I have a Gossip Girl rant. It's a very unpopular opinion rant that some people are probably going to hate me for, but I'm here to have facts and expose the facts behind everything that I say. And today, the video that I'm going to make a rant about is that Blair did not make, I'll say it again for the bitches in the back, Blair did not make Jenny do anything she didn't want to do. Period. And I'm going to elaborate on it. There are a lot of people who say, oh, we have to glamorize bullying, we have to glamorize frenemies, you know, all these little fake feminists, all these little fake people who try to spread female positivity. I get it. There's nothing wrong with trying to spread female positivity. There's nothing wrong with trying to make a YouTube channel about what you believe in. What I don't respect about people is when you try to bash other people for liking a certain storyline or liking that character. Like me, for instance, I hate Damon Salvatore. I lose my breath trying to convince people that a character like him should not be liked, because nothing about him ever changed. It never changes. He never takes any accountability for anything. And it's like a character like him should not be liked. But if you do like him, that's your prerogative. I'm not going to spend every fucking video telling you that you shouldn't like the guy. And I'm not going to just assume that you're a bad person or you're a terrible person because you like Damon. That's just what I'm trying to say. There are people who assume because you like Blair that you're a bully, you're insecure, you're I guess self-sabotaging, competitive, and I like to say that she is a misogynist. She does girl-on-girl crime. I actually must do a video about this, about Blair. I might actually do a video about me discussing some of those dead opinions and why a lot of those opinions don't really hold a lot of weight. I'm going to try my best to keep this video just mainly about her and Jenny and their dynamic. But I don't appreciate people who try to assume because you like her that you're exactly like her. I'm nothing like Blair. I'm not competitive. Me personally, I don't attend myself to get jealous over other females. That's never been me, and that's never going to be me. I've never been jealous about what other people might have or what other people don't have. I never really care about that. I never care about the girl who might have the biggest booty, or the girl who might have the biggest boobs, or the girl who might be the prettiest, things like that. Me personally, I think people are their own person. People are going to express their beauty in a way that they think is right, and I feel like that's a way that you should respect it. Me personally, I feel like body isn't everything. I feel like beauty isn't everything, and if all you feel like you can bring to the table is just your body and your beauty, then you're a self-centered person, and you're very surface level as well as a person, aka Serena. You realize that Serena doesn't bring nothing else to the table besides charm and I guess her beauty. She doesn't really offer anything else to the table. Serena doesn't work hard. She doesn't do anything. And she expects things to get handed to her because she's beautiful, even though she has the personality of a brown paper bag. But, like that, for instance, when I say things like that, people think that I'm female bashing, when honestly, it's just only the truth. Serena is a male-centered character. Serena takes no accountability for any of her actions. She blames men for everything when she's the person who makes her own decisions at the end of the day. But to keep this blatantly just about Blair and Jenny, I'm going to be real with y'all. There's a lot of people who say Blair was a bully. And I do think she did have tendencies to be one. She wanted to be the ruler of Constance. And she wanted to be a, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm looking for the word. She wanted to kind of be the queen. She wanted to be the queen bee. She wanted to be, pretty much one of the things like it's a democracy. Things don't happen when you say it does. You have to go through Blair and make it happen, which I have nothing wrong with that. I don't have anything against mean girls, things like that. But there are a lot of times in the show where Blair gets her upcoming when she's a mean girl. A lot of times in the show. I think a lot of people tend to forget that. But things like that. I do think her forcing Jenny to drink and things like that is not cool. I don't agree with you forcing people to drink or anything of the sort. Or not a fan of it. I definitely feel like she didn't have to force Jenny into drinking or anything like that. I think that falls more into peer pressure, not really bullying, in my opinion. In my opinion, I don't think that's bullying. I feel like what she was doing to the girl in season 2, like, pretty much, I would say that what was more bullying from Blair when it came to Jenny was having her roll around as a servant, pretty much manipulating her desperation and using it as a way to keep her at her side, and all those types of things definitely were aspects of bullying. There's no excuse for that. None. I don't agree with bullying. I don't agree with none of that. But I'm going to get to my point in a minute, because I'm probably thinking like, so what's your point on her saying that she didn't make Jenny do anything she didn't want to do? Don't worry, I'm getting into it. She ruled Constance with an iron fist. She had all those girls wrapped around her thumb. Even though they were fake anyway, they hopped onto the next thing that was relevant, or the next thing that was popular. Then they were right back to Blair. Blair kind of started the whole bullying campaign with the girl in season 2 who was interested in dance. You know, she threw a hockey stick on her foot and things like that. That's the only thing Blair did, by the way. Some people tend to forget. Blair only had this girl get frozen yogurt and drop a hockey stick on her leg. But yet, I see nobody ever call out Serena for throwing fucking acid on this girl's hair. Being behind the two other girls, throwing acid on her hair, and Serena talked about and felt no remorse about telling them to do that. None. But no one calls that out. Serena is the type of bitch who would throw the rock and hide her hand and act like an innocent little girl. Serena is not innocent. Get the fuck out of here. She's none of that. Those were instances of Blair being a bully. That's it. And don't even give me that shit about how she treated Vanessa, because her and Vanessa had an ongoing feud, and it was tit for tat for both of them. Don't give me that shit. The only reason why her and Vanessa had beef, and I think Vanessa kept acting like she didn't remember why, is because, bitch, you tried to expose a tape of me and Chuck saying that we slept with each other and use it as leverage for your fucking homeschool project. Are you kidding me, bitch? Me and you're gonna always have beef until the end of time, and then you try to blackmail me with a tape of my boyfriend and his stepmother and talk about you either gonna do what I say or I release this tape to Gossip Girl. So are you forgetting that me and you have beef? You try to manipulate me, and you try to blackmail me, so guess what? I'm going to do the same thing to you. Whenever I see you, it's on spite. It's on spite. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Blair had every right to get her ones with Vanessa at any time. Vanessa was a hater. Vanessa was always inserting herself in everyone else's business, and then she gets mad when Blair tells her, you're not on my level, that I'm better than you, and and things like that. And I mean, she was. I mean, yeah, you could say that Blair was definitely on her high horse, and things like that, which is like I don't agree with as well. But it's like when a bitch is gonna forget that we have beef, I'm gonna remind you what our beef was. It's pretty much what Blair was only doing. She was kind of just reminding Vanessa why we're not cool and why we would never be cool, because you try to make me feel bad for what I was doing, but again, you don't feel bad for what you were doing. Bitch, get the fuck out of here. Bye. To the left, to the left, to the left, to the left. Boogie all down. That's where you can go. To the dump, to the trash. That's where you belong. Vanessa is annoying. I am so tired of people talking about she's not that bad. Bitch was always asserting herself in everyone else's business. Had an opinion on everything when no one asked for her opinion, which I'm not mad at because I'm like that too. If no one asks my opinion, I'm going to express my opinion. But bitch, shut the fuck up and sit the fuck down. No one cares what you have to say out of your irrelevant ass mouth. You dirty, crusty bitch. Shut the fuck up. No one cares about you or your opinions or your mindset or nothing that you have going on. She was so boring. She had no personality outside of hating the rich people, but yet she's always around these bitches. Around everybody. She slept with Chuck. She's had a relationship with Nate. Like, bitch, what are you talking about? You hate the people that you hate the people that you so-called that you want to become. Like, shut the fuck up. She hated what she wanted to become. Period. She, not want to become, she hated what she wanted to be. Let's be honest. Let's be real. She judged Serena without even really getting to know her. Not saying there was much to get to know, but still. I get it. She slept with her boyfriend. I get it. Anyone like that, of course you would judge. It's like, okay, you want to be friends with a bitch who didn't have any loyalty to her own friend? I don't know about that. But it's the fact that she tried to make Dan feel bad for dating a girl like her. Basically, like, she just being a whole ass biscuit, like, I'm the girl you should be with because we're more alike than you and Serena. Y'all are way too opposite to be a couple. It's like, girl, get over it. Get the fuck over it. That's honestly what I loved about Serena and Dan, is that I feel like Dan humbled her a little bit. Like, he really humbled the fuck out of Serena, because honestly, Serena was just, she was annoying as fuck. I hated her. But let me get back. I'm sorry for the side rant, but I hate Vanessa. She's really annoying. So let's get into the whole, she didn't make Jenny do anything she didn't want to do. Let's clock it. Blair didn't make Jenny do anything she didn't want to do. And let's talk about it. One of the things that I will go back, that I tend to go back to in Gossip Girl, and I will agree with Rufus on, just one thing, because Rufus failed Jenny no matter what. Everybody failed Jenny. Everyone. School system. Friends. Well, she didn't really have any friends. Family. They all failed Jenny. I love Jenny. I do. I feel like she sold herself for popularity. Something that I didn't mention when I made her video about how she was failed. I definitely think she's overhated. Jenny sold herself for popularity, and I feel like she was the one who didn't see that. The one thing I will agree with Rufus on is that those are your decisions that you make at the end of the day. I understand. Rufus does not understand how hard it is to be a 16 or a teenager girl at all. How hard it is, and I said that. Jenny needed a female in her life to tell her, to give her advice about female shit, about girl stuff. Rufus does not understand Jenny because she's a girl. He don't understand her. He wasn't emotional enough. He didn't ask enough questions. He was just stern and stubborn. He just thought that ruling with the iron fist was going to get her to listen. No, that's how you create a rebellious child. Not saying you have to always say yes, but when you don't listen to your child, and when you talk about you're supposed to be seen and not heard, what the fuck do you think is going to happen? They're going to rebel against you because you showed them a lack of love or any respect as a child. I go to school every day and do what you want me to do, and you can't even show me the kind of courtesy of supporting me or listening to my feelings. Are you fucking kidding me? Fuck you. But one of the things I will agree with Rufus on is when he told Jenny that those are your decisions. I'm not going to feel bad for not having a private jet for you. I will agree with him on that. I don't think Rufus should feel bad for not having the things that Jenny wants. And I feel like that at the end of the day, Jenny made her own decisions. Blair did not make her steal a dress. Blair didn't make her go on Gossip Girl and lie about losing her virginity to that gay guy Asher. Blair didn't make her lie to her dad. Blair didn't make her take pictures of her bra. Blair didn't make her do any of these things, which honestly in that scene, that was an older man taking pictures of her in her bra. Very weird and just not a good look. Gossip Girl, here's the thing about Gossip Girl, what I will say before I get back to it, is that this show definitely was not an ordinary teen drama show, and they let you know that, which is why I can respect this show a lot more than I can respect Euphoria, because Euphoria is telling you, oh, we're not that type of show, but yet they do all this controversial stuff, and people would tend to defend the controversial shit. Gossip Girl knew that it was problematic and it had problematic elements, and that's what made the show so interesting, was that they knew that it was a problematic world. Not saying it's okay, definitely not an okay scene. I don't agree with the writers putting a 15-year-old Taylor Momsen in a scene like that. I think that's very weird, and I don't know if her parents, like I said, I don't know if her parents looked at that and was like, yeah, we're going to have our daughter do a scene like that at 15. That's not okay with me. All I'm saying is that Blair didn't make Jenny do any of those things that Jenny did, and I feel like people constantly like to put that, people tend to put that on Blair when it's like, yeah, Blair might have manipulated and fooled Jenny into thinking and bullied her into doing certain things, but at the end of the day, when all of her minions decided to cast Blair out for doing the same, well, quote unquote, doing the same thing that she bashed Serena for, when honestly it was a different scenario. I got a video about that on my channel called The Double Standard Between, the double standard on Blair in that episode, I believe that is episode 12 of season 1. The thin line between Chuck and May. That entire episode was an impeccable double standard, and especially when the situation was completely different. Like I said, the only thing Blair was wrong for was hooking up with Chuck. I could understand the first time, but keeping it going and then dropping him to get with Nate, she was definitely wrong for that. She didn't care about who she was hurting, and I think for her, I think the reason why she didn't care was because she thought all her Chuck had was just sex. But I've come to a realization now that I'm older is that nothing is just sex. Nothing is just sex, and I feel like the more you get older, the more you realize that. So yeah, they cast her out, and then Jenny decided to become the queen bee. Jenny was the one who chose to try to fit in with a crowd that she knew would never understand where she come from. Jenny is the one who sold her soul to be popular, and y'all can't blame Blair for that, and y'all not going to. I'm not gonna let y'all to. Jenny is the one who tried to compete where, I hate to say it, where she kind of didn't prepare. She didn't come from the same world as them. She don't understand. She don't know what it's like to have a private jet, or to have a diamond earring, or to have the Gucci bag, or to have that design purse, or things like that. She don't know what it's like to have that. Not saying that she should be casted out because she don't have those things. I think that's fair. I think you should give someone a chance. You should give everybody a chance. And I don't understand why the show like to portray Jenny and Dan like they were poor or something. They were not poor. Her and Dan, you need to have money to live in New York. They weren't poor. Rufus owned a whole ass art gallery, and he was still making money from his old albums as a 90s rock star. The poor, get the fuck out of here. They tried so hard to make us believe they were poor watching Gossip Girl. They weren't poor. They were not poor. They were not poor. Living in a loft is a lot of bands. Living in a loft is not cheap. Not cheap. I don't know why the fuck Gossip Girl trying to make us think that they were poor. They were not poor. I know like people used to get mad when Blair used to talk about little poor Dan, he's poor, why Serena's setting her bar so low, they don't come from the same social class and things like that. I think, me personally, I do think that's wrong. Like I said, as much as I love Blair, I don't think it's right to just say that just because someone doesn't come from your same social class that you're up here and they're down here. But again, think about this. Dan had his opinions on Blair, and he never got to know her. So why is Blair wrong for having heard something about him when she don't even know who the fuck he is? I mean, tit for tat. If you don't know nothing about me and you're making assumptions about me, I'm going to do the same thing to you. Like, what the fuck you talking about? I think you're down here and I think I'm up here, and you think that I'm up here, and you think you're more superior, you think you're whatever the fuck Dan thought he was. He thought that, I guess he was what? More humble. I guess he thought he was more genuine. I don't know what the fuck Dan thought he was. But he couldn't stand Blair. He thought that she was not a good friend to Serena, which I think is completely ludicrous. I think her and Serena both equally did terrible things in their friendship. Me personally, even calling that a friendship is bizarre, because Serena and her were never friends. It never was a friendship. But honestly, to me, y'all gonna hate this. Serena was always the problem, and we're gonna leave it at that. Like, I already got a video about that on my channel as well, about her and Serena. If y'all want a part 2, I can make one. Actually, I am gonna make a part 2, because I actually have a video I'm gonna make, because something on TikTok really inspired me to make another part 2 in their friendship, because people again just being delusional about their friendship. So I'm gonna make a part 2. Don't worry, it's gonna come soon, like farther down the road soon, but I'm gonna make one. I didn't really intend on this video being long, so I'm sorry for the side rants. I think the reason why I keep going on side rants is because I'm trying to keep this video from being short. I don't like short videos. Me personally, I just feel like it's fucking crazy that when Blair makes an assumption about somebody, oh, she's a bully, she thinks so highly of herself, but Vanessa and Dan and all of them can make assumptions about who they are, even though you don't know me from a can of paint. Like how I don't know you, you don't know me. Yet you don't like me so much, but yet you're always coming to these social class parties. You're always coming to these everywhere where I don't know where the fuck I'm at. If you hate me so much, get the fuck away from me. Don't come in my motherfucking presence. Fuck, that's how I live my life. If I don't like you, you won't see me. You won't see me. We won't breathe the same air. Like the fuck? Dan wanted to be in that world. He just hated to admit it. He wanted to know what it was like to live in a world that you had everything. But yet, people don't realize, honestly, when it came to Serena, Blair, Chuck, and Nate, those kids were failed. They were all failed by their parents. As much as I don't like Serena, I hate Serena. As much as I hate Serena, Lily definitely failed her. Lily was a terrible parent. Lily and her father, they were both terrible parents. Terrible. But I feel like Serena likes to use that as an excuse for why she does the things she does and takes no accountability for it. None. She takes no accountability for nothing. Blair, where I think Blair was failed on is that I think her mom tends to use her insecurities as a way to make Blair feel bad about herself when she's already insecure about who she is. She already kind of don't feel like she's pretty enough because she had an eating disorder. She's already feeling inferior by her friend, who everyone kind of gives all the attention to. It's one thing to feel insecure about yourself, but it's another thing to when other people are around you and blatantly make you feel that way. And I feel like Serena, and I never want to try to blame anyone for anyone else's insecurities, but I think Serena was just like a trigger for Blair, like for insecurities. But I think the reason why her and Blair couldn't let each other go as friends is because they knew no one else would deal with them. That's why, and I think that's terrible. I feel like if y'all can't deal with each other, y'all shouldn't be friends. And they really shouldn't have been. They really had no business being friends. I think her and Jenny should have been the friendship, honestly. And the Waters could have easily turned that around and made it something genuine. Because as much as her and Jenny might have had their tit for tat, they've always shown respect to each other. At the end of the day, it was always respect. Always respect. And I feel like a lot of them were failed. Chuck was failed. At least Chuck got therapy. Like I said, y'all really like to look over Chuck's character development, in my opinion. Yeah, he done some terrible things, some god awful shit. But Chuck actually went to therapy. Nate was failed too by his parents, but Nate was really boring and he was there. He was the female version. He was the male version of Serena, pretty much. Those kids were failed too by their parents. just as much as the other kids too in the show. I don't think Dan was as much as failed by as Rufus as much as Jenny. Jenny was definitely failed by Rufus failed her, and that's my opinion. I feel like that people tend to overlook that they were kind of failed too by their parents, Blair and them. But I feel like I hope I got to the point when it came to her and Jenny. I'm just gonna say it again. I'm gonna say it right here. Yes, Blair did bully Jenny. She did try to peer pressure Jenny into drinking and things like that. And they did peer pressure her into stealing the jacket, but Jenny was the one who decided to keep the jacket. She actually got thrived off stealing the jacket, and she didn't even feel scared about stealing it. She was thriving in the club when they got in the club. She helped bust out Eric, and she wasn't mad about doing it. So to me, I just feel like I do think on some extent Jenny was a victim of Blair's manipulation. Yes, Blair did manipulate Jenny's desperation, and she used it against her, which wasn't cool. Blair was never Jenny's friend. Let's be real. Blair was never Jenny's friend. She used her as a puppet, and until Jenny decided that she was going to be her own person. But let's be real here. Jenny took that opportunity when Jenny overheard Dan and Serena's conversation about Blair and Chuck. Jenny took that as her opportunity to take Blair's position. That's to be real. Even though Jenny is my girl, Jenny took that as her opportunity to take Blair's position because she learned the game. She learned the game from Blair. Jenny did that. Jenny manipulated. She sold herself out just to be popular. And I feel like y'all cannot blame that on Blair. No one made Jenny throw that yogurt on Blair's hair. No one made Jenny lie about her birthday party. No one made Jenny lie about losing her virginity to that gay dude. No one made Jenny steal that dress. If we talk about this particular in season 1, I'm gonna just keep it season 1. I'm gonna talk about season 2. We're gonna talk about season 1. Blair didn't make Jenny steal that dress. Blair didn't make Jenny stick it to the masquerade ball and steal her charm bracelet. Blair didn't make Jenny lie to Rufus about where she was gonna hold her birthday party. Blair didn't make Jenny lie about losing her virginity to Asher. Blair didn't make Jenny steal no dress. Blair didn't make Jenny lie to her family. Blair did not make Jenny bend her morals, and she didn't make Jenny sell her soul out. Those were all decisions that Jenny made at the end of the day because she wanted to be popular. She wanted to fit in. And I get it. When you're a teenager, you want to have friends. But I think the whole concept was that Jenny was naive in season 1. Like Blair told her, if you want to be in this world, there's a price to pay. You have to decide at the end of the day if all of this is worth it. And when her and Jenny had a conversation where she said, I told you, there was a price to pay. When you're in this world, you have to sell your soul. And Jenny sold her soul, and I feel like she kind of was looking to blame in season 1 outside of herself. Like, she's the one who sold her sewing machine and sold things for money, then ended up stealing the dress and ended up selling that dress for money, and then she ended up stealing the dress from the shop and ended up wearing it and trying to hide it from her friend. No one made Jenny do that, bruh. Jenny did that by herself. Y'all not gonna blame Blair for that, and I'm not gonna let y'all. Yes, Blair might have had planted the seeds, but Jenny is the one who grew the root. She's the one who, honestly, when her and Blair stopped being, when Blair cut her off after about the whole next conversation that they had in episode 8, Jenny should have known that should have been the end of it. But like I said, the moment that she overheard that conversation with Dan and Serena, she used that as an opportunity to take Blair's position because she wanted to desperately fit in. Like, so y'all not gonna blame Blair for that, and I'm not gonna let y'all. It's just not gonna go down that way. Yes, Blair was a bully, but Blair didn't make Jenny do anything that she didn't want to do, and she didn't make Jenny make those terrible decisions in season 1. So I don't care what y'all say. I'm not gonna let y'all do it. And I love Jenny, and I love Jenny down. I love Jenny down. I think she's extremely overhated. And if y'all want another part 2 video on Jenny, on me discussing more on why I think why she's overhated and why she was failed, I would gladly do that, because I feel like the video I made of her originally was not long enough. Her video should have been like an hour long, honestly, if you're being real, because there's so much to talk about. I think Jenny was very much failed, but I still feel like at the end of the day, you have to hold someone accountable for their actions. And Jenny did do a lot of things in the show that was very questionable. But again, I'm not using that as an excuse. I just feel like she was failed, in my opinion. Like, no one made her sell drugs in season 3. No one made her lie to Nate about Serena. No one made her do these things, and she did them anyway. Like, but at least she tried to apologize. No one made her take that picture of Serena and Dan in the bed and sitting there on Gossip Girl. No one made her do those things. She did them because she wanted to. And I definitely think the best idea Rufus ever had when it came to her was getting her out of Manhattan. That was the best decision he ever made as a parent, was getting her out of Manhattan. That world was becoming increasingly toxic to Jenny, because it was, like I said, she sold herself for popularity and to fit in this world, but when she got into this world, she lost who she was. She stopped being humble. She became everything that she didn't want to become. She became a manipulator. She wasn't really a bully. Like, I think her Queen era, her Queen Bee era in season 3, they didn't do enough with that, in my opinion. Like, that, she had like, what, 1 full episode of being Queen Bee? She turned on Eric, her only friend. She threw yogurt on his head, and she had her friends throw eggs at him. She turned on her only friend. But then, like I said, people like to look over, like I said, I think actions have reactions. Not saying you have to react, but at the end of the day, actions do have reactions. I'm not mad at Eric wanting to give Jenny a taste of her own medicine. I think the problem I have is that people like to make so many excuses for so many people like to make excuses for everyone else, but when it came to Jenny, it was just like, she's annoying. And me personally, no. I think there's definitely no excuse for her betraying her only friend. Absolutely no excuse. She knew when she took that position as Queen Bee what it was going to be, and she sold herself out for it. And that's something I definitely didn't hold her accountable for enough when I made my last video. I definitely feel like she sold herself out for popularity, and I definitely would agree with that. She definitely sold herself out for popularity, but at the end of the day, Rufus failed her. And I made a video about that too, about him being a bad parent. So if y'all want to watch that, y'all can listen to that too. That's on my channel. Would y'all prefer if I put my rant in a playlist? I could do that for you guys. I could put like my Once You Hear rants or any rants I've made when it comes to any of these things. I can make a video for that. Probably not any old rants, like when I first started YouTube. Those probably will not be in this playlist. But I can make like current videos and put them in a playlist for you guys. I can definitely do that. But I definitely feel like Jenny was failed. And if y'all want to ask me, if y'all want a video on why I think she was failed by Rufus, I kind of already made a video about that. Like I said, I can listen to it again and see if I left anything out. But I think the reason why Jenny was failed when it came to her, when it came to Rufus, and when it came to her parents and Dan, let's just say the adults in her life. Dan definitely should be a part of this, because Dan is the second thing she got to outside of Rufus. Like, Rufus is her dad, and like Dan is like her brother, and they were really tight in the first 2 seasons, and then season 3 happened, and it's like the writers forgot they were siblings. The reason why Jeannie was failed by Rufus was because, like, again, Rufus reminds me a lot of Frank from Moesha. He doesn't listen. He thinks his opinion is the only one that matters. He isn't emotional enough. He's not understanding. He pretty much created a rebellious child, and then he gets mad when Jeannie doesn't want to do what he wants. He got mad. He grounded her for stealing the dresses and things like that, which, rightfully so. You stole the dress and they never even pressed charges. You're lucky to even still be in this house and not in jail. But he gets so worked up about her sneaking out of the house. It's not that big of a deal, bro, that she's sneaking out of the house to go host a party. He had like the whole world was getting ready to catch on fire. Not a big deal, bro. I didn't like how he was kind of like not understanding enough when she talked about you have no idea how hard it is. Like, he wasn't understanding enough, in my opinion. Like I said, the one thing I will agree with him with is that those are the decisions that you make at the end of the day. I'm not gonna. You're not gonna make me feel bad for not having the Gucci bags and the Louis Vuittons and the Chanel shit. I raised you the best way I could, which Rufus was not a good parent at all. He was a terrible parent. He raised her the best of his quote-unquote abilities. He put Jenny in a toxic environment with Lily, and then gets mad when Lily doesn't even watch her own children, her own child. You expect her to watch your child? Not saying it's anyone's fault why Jenny got and dabbled with drugs. That was her decision to make at the end of the day. But you get mad when she chooses to date this drug dealer, which he has every right to be mad at. I wouldn't want my daughter dating a drug dealer. But one of the things I have learned as a parent is that you say things one time. If your child doesn't listen, that's their mistake to make. And I feel like Rufus just didn't want her to make any mistakes because she was a girl. That's why he played double standards in the household. He played double standards. I wouldn't want Jenny to be with a drug dealer either, but the thing is, he didn't trust her own judgment. He thought because Damon was a drug dealer and they were dating that he could get Jenny to do whatever, and that just wasn't true. When Damon wanted to go further, Jenny she didn't want to have sex with him. She wasn't ready. Rufus thought that she was stupid because she was dating a drug dealer and he thought he could get Jenny to do anything she wanted. No, that's not what happened. Jenny didn't just give him what he wanted because they were together. Like she said, I want my first time to be special. And I don't think you're the guy that's gonna make it feel special. And everything like that. In season 2, Rufus definitely became a terrible parent. He didn't listen. Not saying that I agree with Jenny skipping school and all that money that he put into the school. I definitely don't think she should be skipping classes. But if she told me that she still kept up with her assignments and everything like that, what's the problem? I mean, it's one thing if she skipped school and let's just say she skipped school and she didn't do any of her assignments. If you tell me that you skipped school and you were still getting your assignments done while doing your internship, oh damn, I'm not that bad. I'm not that furious. You're still doing your schoolwork. It's the fact that he tried to purposely punish her dreams because she didn't do what he wanted her to do. Rufus was very controlling, and if Jenny didn't do what he wanted, he would purposely punish her. Y'all not ready. Jenny was failed, but at the end of the day, she made her bad decisions, and I don't think she knew how bad it affected everyone until that very last season. And not even that, the writers dragged Jenny through that season. First, she loses her only friend, Eric. Then she becomes a drug dealer at 16. Then y'all make her a pick-me for Nate, which is like, really? Nate? Him out of all people? She tried to purposely break up him and Serena by being manipulative. And then y'all have her sleep with Chuck and lose her virginity to the guy that almost tried to rape her in the first episode. Crazy. Even though it was consensual. I can make a video about that too. I can make a video about that scene. Oh my god, all these gospel rants are coming to me, y'all. I can make a video about that too. I can make a video on people who say that Chuck took advantage of her. Y'all are so wrong. In that scene with him, in that last episode with him and Jenny, he told her that if she wants to leave, she can. He said tonight, he said he don't want to be alone tonight. That wasn't him trying to get her to stay. He was letting her know, like, hey, I'm lonely and I'm feeling vulnerable. We don't have to have sex, but I just don't want to be alone. And she said she don't want to be alone either. They insinuated that they had sex, which is weird because in the very next scene, Chuck was fully clothed when he asked her if she was okay. He said she can stay as long as she wants. I feel, and I kind of also, I like, and you know what, I hate to say it, and I kind of don't hate to say it, I love the fact that him and Jenny became a dynamic in season 3. That was actually really entertaining. I think Taylor and Ed had really, like, great chemistry in a sense of, they make sense as a duo, in my opinion. They make sense as a duo. And I think a lot of y'all tend to forget that Chuck apologized for his actions in the first episode. The reason why it's troubling to me, even though I love the fact that Chuck did apologize and he was very sincere about his apology, to the fact that he moved out to make her feel comfortable. He moved out. He apologized. He said that night was, he said that was a terrible night and she didn't deserve it, and that he's really sorry about it, and that he's gonna move out to make her feel more comfortable. The last thing he wants is for her to feel uncomfortable in her new home with her new family. A lot of y'all tend to forget that he apologized for what happened that night. And like I said, a lot of y'all tend to forget a lot of Chuck's character development. Like I said, at least he went to therapy. At least he tried to figure himself out. At least he tried to figure his demons out and try to work with his demons and make himself better. And he actually did. I don't give a fuck what none of y'all say. Chuck was actually a better person towards the end of the show. He was not the same person that he was in the first season. I don't give a fuck what y'all say. Yes, he might have made some bad decisions here and there in between those seasons, but at the end of the day, he was still a way better person. So y'all can kiss my ass and suck my dick. I don't give a fuck. You know, actually, I don't even have a dick, but y'all can kiss my ass. But what was I just saying? I was saying something about Jenny. Oh yeah, I expect that scene between. The reason why it's showing to me why she lost her virginity to Chuck is because, me personally, I just feel like the writers, not saying that they tend to forgot, they mentioned it only in season 2, but me personally, I just don't like the idea of Jenny losing her virginity to a person who tried to essay her. I think who I am as a person, as much as I love Chuck as a character, I just feel like as an audience member, that's really a fault to my intelligence, in my opinion. But for Eric to run to Dan and act like it was rape was just ridiculous to me, in my opinion. But that's even there because it's getting late, and like y'all, I could talk for hours about this shit, really. But me personally, enjoy the side rant. But me personally, I feel like as much, yes, I'm gonna just say this in closing, that way y'all can really understand what the fuck I'm talking about. Yes, Blair did bully Jenny. She used Jenny as a puppet. She manipulated Jenny's desperation, and she used it against Jenny. But in a scenario, she only made Jenny drink. Think about this. She made Jenny drink, and she only made Jenny run around and get costumes. Jenny, after she found out the whole Nate situation, and she told Jenny that they can't be cool no more because you should have told me right off the bat. The scene where when Blair confronted her about the stolen bracelet, Jenny should have pulled her aside and say, "Hey, I need to talk to you about Nate." You wait until the very last moment where she's telling you that she's planning the wedding to tell her that he still got coming to Serena. He's on his way over here. And you telling me now? You telling me now? Bad timing. Come on now, Jenny. Bad timing. You should have told her right then and there. I'm like, Blair, can we talk real quick? We need to talk real quick about your boy. I told her right then and there. And then Nate tried to manipulate her into not saying anything with chocolate. Really, Nate? You're pathetic. But what I will say in this scenario is that, like I said, think about it. She tried to force Jenny to drink. She forced Jenny to drink and steal a dress from her mother's shop, and this is what happened. She forced Jenny to drink. She forced Jenny. Well, she dared Jenny into stealing her mother's jacket, and then they left her there at the store to get caught by the police, which wasn't cool. They broke Eric out of rehab, which Blair actually helped her with, and then Jenny was like, it was actually pretty fun, and then Eric said it was the best night of his life. So Jenny had no problem doing that. She had no problem breaking Eric out, and then she had Jenny run around and get clothes and stuff for the masquerade ball. If we think about it, that stuff really, it's not that bad, but it's still, you would think for it to be bullying, it would be worse. But it still is aspects of bullying, because Blair did manipulate Jenny's desperation, and she knew that Jenny would do anything to be popular, and she manipulated that, which is not good. I don't think Blair was looking for friends, she was looking for minions, and she knew how much Jenny wanted to be liked and wanted to be popular, so she manipulated her into thinking they were going to be friends, which wasn't cool. Jenny took the opportunity to get Blair out of her position the moment that she found out that Blair and Chuck stuck together. If Jenny really didn't care about being popular and she was over it, she wouldn't have not taken the opportunity when it pursued itself. At the end of the day, Jenny made her own decisions, and y'all not going to keep blaming Blair for the decisions that she made in season 1. Not having it, and I won't have it. But future videos that I will write down for Gossip Girl is I probably will make a Jenny part 2 video on why she was failed, and I'm gonna make a video about her and Chuck in that episode in season 3, episode 22. So y'all be ready for that. And I'm gonna probably say let's say Friday. This Friday, I might try my best to make a part 2 video on Blair and Serena's friendship and the recent things I've seen on TikTok that I did not mention in the original video. So y'all be prepared. As always, love y'all, enjoy this video, and good night.